Desert Island Discs on 91.3 Capital FM.
It's 91.3 Capital FM, Desert Island Discs on this wonderful Sunday evening. And yes, as always, sharing life's incredible stories from folks that have distinguished themselves. On the program this evening, I have the pleasure to meet a man with whom, when I mention his name and look at his face, I see dollar signs in his eyes. Why? Because he's kept a huge cachet of bit of my money and maybe yours as well. Mm-hmm. He's the Deputy Managing Director for the National Social Security Fund. Patrick Ayota, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you, listeners and viewers.
I'm sure everyone who you introduce yourself to as the Deputy MD of NSSF begins to look at you the way I'm looking at you.
Yeah, I think this. And they are wrong. Because
they are wrong.
Yeah, it's their money. It's not even my money.
Yeah, but you're keeping it.
Okay. A little bit of it.
And growing it.
Yes.
How are you keeping, Patrick?
I'm good. I'm well. God has been good. I think I have to confess that. It has really been a nice, wonderful journey. Coming from that little village, as you say, in Tororo.
In Tororo. Patrick says he's a little boy from a village called Nyem Nyem.
Yes. And when we say village, we mean village. You know, there are people who are in Kampala, you say, what village are you from? He says, I'm from Makindi. Really? Makindi is not a village.
Electricity, exactly. Water, paved roads, but Nyem Nyem.
Nyem Nyem. And growing up there, it was a real village.
Now take us down to that village in Nyem Nyem. Where were you born? We know it's Nyem Nyem. To whom? And how was your childhood there?
Well, interestingly enough, I grew up with my grandfather in Nyem Nyem. And he was a reverend. Wow. Now, growing up in the village, in a reverend's home, you know, there were just things that were taboo.
So they had to pick you being the most stubborn child of your parents and give you to your grandfather who's a reverend, so that every day he instills the fear of God.
Actually, he grabbed me from my parents, said, this one I want.
This one
this one is a lot of trouble, I want.
I want that one.
But as turns out, actually worked out very well. Because, as I mentioned, growing up in the village, okay, you don't have running water, you're walking barefoot. I had to go to school, primary school, which was Kidoko, 4 kilometers from my home, which meant I ran 4 kilometers in the morning, 4 kilometers back.
And that's the stuff world record athletes.
Yeah, I know. So when somebody tells me today, let's go jogging, I say, my friend, I did my jogging back there. Leave me alone.
Not now.
Not now. So we did. And the simple life of a boy growing up in the village, being able to do chores, because there was some strictness at home that there was an expectation they gave us. Okay, wake up in the morning, go to the garden before you go to school.
What time is this?
You woke up around 5:30. Yeah, because remember, school is 4 kilometers away.
But also coming from the east, I'm sure 5:30, the sun is in the middle of the sky.
Not yet, it's dark.
I guess that's where it starts from.
It's dark. So you had to do whatever you need to do within the 45 minutes. Then there was no taking. You didn't take a bath. You just wash your feet and went to school.
So the bath was taken every so often.
Yeah, because man, you had to go to the well to get water, so you can't just you're having a luxury shower every now. I don't know what's the shower. I remember even now my childhood story. One of the things we loved the most was when it rained. We had the corrugated mabati house. When it's raining, you know that the water is coming down those little gullies.
Yes.
So you just ran around there and took your showers.
I'm closing my eyes doing the mental picture of a little Ayota running around
taking a shower. So we made you kind of made life full as towards. Went through and then so you knew how to do chores after school.
What chores?
Oh, because during school days.
Can you cook?
Yes. Oh yes, I can cook kalo, mingo kalo. But then I can actually do it from ground. Get millet from the granary. Spread it to dry, pound it so you can winnow it and you get the seeds. Now you roast the seeds and then you mix it you grind it first.
Mix to grind the grinding.
Oh yeah,
that sound it makes.
Yep. And it was not using a electric motors. Your motors, stone on stone, and we did. And you kind of because we grew up and we didn't even think of it as strange. You worked. If there was no water, you carried a kadomolo, you went to the well, brought water. You went to the bushes, you got firewood. So our job was make sure there was water and there was firewood. The goats and cows were out in the feeding, and then
not in people's gardens.
not people's gardens. And then the compound was swept clean, and the plates were washed. So after every meal, the instruction of the boys, the place must be clean. So there were 3 of us, so we kind of divided the chores, this is your turn and so on. And for 7 years, we grew up doing that. And it was you kind of grew up. It was very interesting that growing in the village, I think the thing that I remember the most is because my grandfather was a reverend, we didn't get involved a lot, and we protected from a lot of the village things. So there were taboos. You don't test alcohol. You didn't test malwa or mwenge. That was a no-go area. A reverend's child? No, you didn't do that. Some of these little things they did in the villages, the sacrifices, no, you didn't go there. You're a reverend's child. In fact, the villagers themselves would beat you.
You've come here to spy.
You come here to spy, they would beat you.
It's because they live double lives.
Exactly.
Some were into fetish, others, and they were also in church.
But what it did was, it kind of kept us a little bit on the narrow and straight. So we focused on school. So school became an escape for me from a lot of the things which was really a blessing.
You talked about the 4-kilometer away school.
Yes.
One would have imagined as a reverend's child who lived with the reverend, there must have been a church school close by.
No, that was the church school. There was a church house. But then he had his own home, which was the village. And so where the land was.
He preferred to live at his home. And then you move 4 kilometers away.
Not only say, the church house didn't have land, so you couldn't dig. And that's why
he wanted, he had labor from.
Since the labor, go there.
He knew his stuff.
No, he knew
What's
his
the name
stuff.
of this school?
This school was called Kidoko Primary School.
Is it
It's still
there?
there? Yes, still there. That's the one. That's where I grew up. I go there often and see the
Check
place.
on them. So you did 7 years in there.
I did 7 years there. Then after past P7.
When I go to Kidoko Primary School and ask them about one Ayota, what do you think they would remember you most for?
They may not remember me that much.
I'm just
but for
assuming
being
I find
stubborn.
an old man that was with you there.
Oh, he will say that one was stubborn. There was this primary teacher. He was in P5. His name was Mr. Bonyo. Mr. Bonyo was a very interesting teacher. He was the first, I think, one of the local representatives who tried to run for political office. I think it was Legico by then. So there was a reputation about him. And he liked to speak Luganda. Interestingly enough, in Tororo, Luganda is very prevalent. Remember, Semeika Kunguru was in East.
He was domiciled there.
So even our church, the Church of Uganda, the Bible, the hymnals are all in Uganda. Now they're trying to win them and drag them to the local language. That was there. So it was it's a very dominant language. And he used to use it. And the guy would start up and he would come and take, for example, algebra. And we would start, as soon as the bell rang, you'd hear him, he would say, okay, 2 squared plus a squared is equal to. Then by the time he walked in, 10 questions, that was mental work. And you exchanged papers and you graded each other. I would get 2 out of 10, 3 out of 10. And he would come stand in my face and say, Ayota, Ojakugwa, Atogwe Redala. Now, think about positive reinforcement.
Can you imagine? Ayota, Ojakugwa, Atogwe Redala. Those ones never left. I think that's the only Uganda you know.
I still remember that. I met him a while after I had been come back from the US. Say, hey, Mr. Bonyo. Say, but you turned out okay, didn't you? So that's how that was my
way. Supposed to motivate you.
Yeah. So
the things that our parents and teachers
did. He did. Now in Nyem Nyem where now I'm trying to really be active. At least now National Water has come into the village. Umeme is coming in the village. So there's a bit of now where we are trying to be a model trying to see if we can catch up a bit to Makindi.
Thanks for bringing the town into the village of Nyem Nyem.
Yes.
But before you tell us more about your life story, on this program we play our music.
Yes.
One would be interested to know, what will be the choice of music from the Deputy Managing Director of NSSF?
There's a song by a young lady. I just heard it about 4 months ago. And you won't believe I was actually riding on the Entebbe Expressway. And the song came and I stopped the car. And I just listened. I never heard of her. Her name is Gabriela Tate, Ntaate. And the song is Wano.
One.
An amazing song. And I'm
What
really,
was amazing about it that
I mean,
made you stop
it caught
right in the middle of the road?
It is almost like a plea from her heart to God, that whatever she's going through, God will hold you. It was an amazing song. That's a song that you listen to and close your eyes and you know that, okay, as long as you have God in your life will go. Your life will be fine.
Wano, as chosen by Patrick Ayota, the Deputy Managing Director of NSSF, you can see that the grounding, having lived in his formative years at the Reverend's house, has kept him very much on the straight and narrow, and every inspiration that comes from the spiritual realm catches his attention. We'll be right back. It's Desert Island Discs.
Desert Island Discs on 91.3 Capital FM.
Abeerawo mu kiseera eky'amazigago, abeerawo olw'owegwaka ogw'essanyu lyo.
Patrick, how are you?
I'm good.
How is the conversation going?
It's fine. It's fine. I'm even sharing something that I think I have not shared for a long time.
Especially Mr. Bonyo, eh?
This village guy, you see. Yeah.
Indeed. 91.3 Capital FM, Desert Island Disc series. And yes, we are on the Desert Island Disc without a doubt. And our guest this Sunday is the Deputy Managing Director for NSSF, Patrick Ayota, who prefers to call himself the little boy from a village called Nyem Nyem. Nyem Nyem, he describes it as a village par excellence. Everything that is in the city was absent until now, when now the village boys started becoming men from the city. So, you pass your primary 7.
I passed P7.
But it's still failing algebra.
Yes. Now, my grandfather died when in actually March. And remember, you do your exams in November.
In November, yes.
So, but I finished and I passed. By then, the school system still worked and government still worked. I was a second in the school, so I got half bursary to go to Navmali High School.
Was that your first choice?
That was my first choice.
Why had you chosen Navmali?
By then,
Yet there was Toro College.
no.
Hey.
No, I don't want to talk bad about Toro College, but Navmali was the school. You know, there were schools.
Then there was
a school. I've been telling these guys go to Budo, yeah, you went to the schools. Navmali was a school. There was something about the school. And if you look at the products from Navmali, even in this current year age, I mean, I can tell some of the guys who are very prominent from Navmali, you've got the current Chief Justice.
Wow.
I think I could say 30-40% of the judiciary officers are from Navmali. It was not just some.
Very interesting.
It was a school that was really good. And
now that you talk about Justice Owinido,
yes,
has someone ever accused you of kind of looking like him? A little bit, without the grey, of course.
No, see, I'm the average. I have an average face, so you can actually see me in a lot of people.
In a lot of people, including myself, since our faces are a little bit.
You know, that's how I escaped from trying to give explanations. I don't know what my dad did or my mom did, so I'm just an average guy.
I'm just an average. I love that. So off you went to Navmali.
So I went to Navmali.
With the intention of being what? At that time, had you made up your mind on what you ever wanted to do?
I did not. But you kind of, you know, I'm 14 years old. So I go there, I mean, you think about being a doctor. One day you think you should be a doctor, you be an engineer. But remember now, the school system was set up where it kind of forced you. Not what you want, what you could do, what you happen to pass if you're lucky. So by the time I get to S4, I passed to go to S5. But now I passed math, economics, and geography.
Wow.
Which means, forget medicine. I can't. I mean, I want to be a doctor, but that's not going to work anymore. I can't be an engineer. I mean, I could, but in those days, the opportunities for that were not there. So I go now into economics, geography, and now think about business administration.
Wow.
I didn't know quite what it was, but sounded, at least the title sounded sophisticated, business administration. So the word administration was wow.
Because you see of district administration.
Exactly. Anyway, so we go. I go through there. And I think my formative years in Navmali, the biggest thing that I remember a lot was looking at boys coming from Kampala. Remember, I'm from the village. Nyem Nyem. So you go here and you are, these boys are coming from Kampala, all decked out, nice clothes.
Was that the first time you actually wore shoes?
No, actually, S3 is the first time I wore shoes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not even senior one.
Senior wine. What we wore then were, the tires, eh?
Hey,
First of all, they are long lasting.
so except if your foot grows longer.
The problem is they could really hit your heels, eh? They were dangerous on your. So my first time was actually to wear shoes was I was nursery. So were trousers, because in Amalu wore shorts. So I had the school uniform, but the actual trousers were when I was nursery. And so it was okay. You are there. Now my grandfather has died. There's nothing coming from home.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing called visitation day for me. I didn't even know what it was, because nobody was going to come and visit me. First of all, I realized that, and you wouldn't expect them to. The other siblings wanting fees and so on, some on my own. So I kind of figure out, what do I need to be doing little to survive? So you go to some little business here, you are selling this, so that you can actually survive.
So what did you, as your first business, do?
My friend, just little frying this cassava. There's nothing as good as students who are hungry.
It's an assured market.
It's an assured market. 10 a.m. You just skip school, but some cassava, you're so late.
You made it from where? I mean, one would want to understand, you are in Uganda. How would you escape? Then find the cassava.
No. You got into a league with the workers at school. The guy who do swimming pool used to have a lot of bananas. So you make him bring you also some batches. He sells it for you. Maybe you made 1 shilling, 2 shillings as profit.
But you are an entrepreneur, mobilizing.
Yeah, because you don't have another option. There's nothing else.
Do or die.
You got very friendly with some of these Kampala boys, so when they are school dances, you can borrow their clothes. So once in a while, you kind of look decked up also.
I like that.
So
on your best
so it helped to know those guys. Now, the one thing that was interesting about Mali was, I was very small, very tiny, but I could dance. But I danced by coping. Now, the first week after school, I'm peeping through the window. These Kampala boys, what are the latest styles they have? So you just watch. Second week, you're practicing. Normally, we had the dance the third week. Third week, you've improved on their style. You're on the floor. Hey, Patrick, where were you? Nairobi.
You have to survive.
Yeah,
you fake it until you make it.
So now this is now. So I do pass S5, pass S4. I'm doing MAG, but I don't pass my S6. And I get to principal passes. By then, there was only Makerere. Chabog was still a teacher training college, and the UCC was by then, I think, Commerce, was some certification in
College
Commerce.
of Commerce.
College of Commerce.
That is actually MOOBS, which was
Yes,
National College of
exactly.
Business Studies, something like that.
Exactly. And I don't pass, and my life is just shattered. And I said, goodness.
What do you think you would attribute to why you did pass? Was it because you spent quite a lot more time copying dance strokes, or you had become a bit obstinate and not concentrating in school, or you actually faced some challenges at home that made it difficult for you to pass?
No, I think part of it is I passed math in S4 by fluke. Remember, I had a problem with math.
Yeah,
the other time. Now, at HSC level, math was rough. It's one I didn't pass.
Distinguishes the boys from
the men.
So
in a way, I think maybe a bit of a miss, and I think maybe our education system at that time was doing it. Did not take your strength simply because you didn't pass a certain subject. Did not mean you couldn't do well in that subject. So I think I got myself in math. Now later on, I became good in math as I went to college, but. Those 2 years, I couldn't catch up very well on the math. It was too high level for me. I couldn't figure
backhouse.
And in those days, they had applied math, they had this statistics, too much math.
Calculus.
Too much math.
Dx, dy.
So I think, but when you look at it in retrospect, when you look at it, God doesn't make a mistake. Even at that point when you think I could have done better and so on, there's a plan. There's something He's planning for you, which is basically what happened, because I find myself at the end of S6, I've not passed, and I'm struggling. I say, oh my God, what am I going to do with my life? And depression even sets in. I mean, it's serious, because I'll go back to Nyem Nyem, but you can't do anything in Nyem Nyem. everybody now. It is a big deal by then.
Yeah, you finished.
No, S1 is a big deal in Nyimi. You're the king of the village. All the village dams are looking after you, chasing you. It's not like you guys in Kampala here. Everybody has gone to school.
Exactly.
With us at that time, S1 was a big deal. S4, you're even a bigger deal. You've now the hope of the village. Now when you come to S6, hey, the expectations are so high. And you're saying, okay, what's going to happen? And I have an uncle who was in Kampala here. He worked with Uganda prisons, Mr. Kagwa. So Mr. Kagwa, I come here, he says, you need a job. I don't know if you recall, the Uganda prisons had two main divisions. There was the uniform divisions, the people you normally see in the prison uniforms. Then they had what was called prison industries, which was the kind of carpentry, and it was robust and amazing. So he was on the prison industry side. After about 3 months, I remember he says, okay, I got a job, go to Mbale. So I go to Mbale, my local prisons, as a storekeeper. At that time, there are no stores. There's no stock. I got there every day, I would open the Uniport. And in Uniport, there's nothing. I'm the storekeeper. I think I'm earning like 3,000 shillings a month.
But you see, it feels nice to have keys of the store, even when there's nothing. You have no idea how powerful you can be.
No, but you see, there was really nothing. But you see, after a while, life is kind of a standstill. You're not going anywhere. You're opening every day. Okay. Now, my supervisor one day comes and says, Patrick, this place is dirty. Please, clean it up. And I was so upset with him. I am an S6 graduate. You're telling me to do what? Clean this? Heck no.
I'm the
storekeeper. I need to clean. I'm a storekeeper. You're saying, you think I'm a cleaner?
You must have given him a hairdryer session. Oh, you kept quiet.
I couldn't argue with him, but I was upset. I didn't clean. And the guy would come every day. I tell you, you are not an animal. Clean this place up. But me, I went to school. There's a reason why I went to school, not to clean. And I'd rather live in that place than to clean it up.
To be seen cleaning.
Than to be seen cleaning.
With my
senior 6 hat. How are they going to let me see me clean? And I realized that was really an embedded attitude within me, that I thought I was beneath doing certain jobs. That after I'd digging up in the village, I was done with all these things.
Now the rest was
now I'm an S6. Anyway. What happens is, if you, many of you may recall, but right after Idi Amin had been overthrown, many of the soldiers who were in Amin's army ran and left. That's why a majority of them went back to northern Uganda. And then the men from Karamoja went back to Karamoja, the military guys in Karamoja. Many of them are from an area around Moroto, and Moroto has a big military barracks.
Yes.
And the guys around Moroto are called Matenikos.
Yes.
Matenikos, they went back, the soldiers, and looted Moroto military barracks.
Right over there. Let's play your next song. When we return, we'll continue with that story, because now it's getting me grips.
Okay.
What will be your next song?
My next song is actually a song that was composed by Handel. Handel was a German classic composer. This song was composed in 1741. And it was part of what's called the Messiah composition. And the Messiah composition has 53 parts to it, or 53 songs to it. And he broke them in 3 parts. The first part basically deals about trying to prophesy the coming of Christ. And then the second part dealt with the sacrifice he makes. Then the last part deals with the resurrection. And the famous song, Hallelujah Chorus, is the last song of that. But the reason why I picked that song is he wrote that whole Messiah composition within 4 weeks' time, between August 1741 and September 14, 1741. And he did it, he had had a stroke earlier, around 1739. Yes, about 1730. He had had a stroke. 1737, he had a stroke. So I think on recovering, he felt that his life was just...
He just needed to accomplish one.
So he composes one of the most amazing pieces, the Messiah's. If anybody, and people have heard that song. This very song is called, I Know That My Redeemer Liveth. An amazing song that was sung. In 1990, a group of contemporary artists got together and they decided to recast the Messiah composition in contemporary terms. And they played, that group was called Handel's Young Messiah, because these were contemporaries. And they kind of jazzed up the entire Messiah, the Messiah composition, yes. Took it away from the classic majestic to kind of more of the jazz one. It's really, really nice song. So I know who my Redeemer, I know that my Redeemer liveth.
So what version do we play for you? The classical one or the
contemporary one?
You have to get back to your normal times.
No, it's actually it's not too jazz, but it's really nice. It helps you get there. Yeah.
Tremendous. Now,
Thank you.
I didn't know that you are so particular about matters music, that you dig deep into the making of the music that you choose. Is that you, or is it only particularly for this song?
No. If I fast forward a bit, music, growing up in Nyem Nyem, was the music I understood. Lingala was famous.
Absolutely.
We had the Luo, the first Ndobolos were dancing in Nyem Nyem, but not recent. The Ndobolos were there. We had our own village in Ndobolos. The rest of the song, like the Western music, was not something we really cared for. We didn't even know that. Then when I went to the university, which is my next part of the story, we had to take music classes. We had to take music appreciation classes.
Wow. And
we're introduced into classics. We could pick art appreciation, drama, or music. I picked up music appreciation. Now, I was the kind who said, well, if I have to be forced to take this class, I have to get an A in it. So I began to study it.
Wow.
And it was an opening into the world of classical music that what I thought I would not even enjoy, I enjoyed to the extent that one day in class, I got F, because now I could understand the various pieces of the music. I could understand how the music was put together, the various instruments and so on. And I could relate it very well to Franco. So I remember one time in class, I tell the teacher, I've got an African classic to play for you. So I got a Franco song and I was playing for him. It was for the class. And I could split Franco in the various instruments, whether it was wind instrument, whether it was the percussions, whatever it was. And the class was just, I said, yeah. That was very interesting. So that was the background to us then.
I hope the next song will be a Franco one. Maybe we can look for something like Mamu or something.
Oh, there's the last one.
Let's be back and play that classic from Edo, but play in the contemporary style. I know my Redeemer liveth. We'll be right back. It's Desert Island.
Desert Island Discs on 91.3 Capital FM.
.3 Capital FM, it's Desert Island Discs, and Patrick Ayota, who's the Managing Director for National Social Security Fund, Deputy Managing Director, sharing with us his life story from humble beginnings in his village in Nyem Nyem. Now we have traversed with him in his life story. He has completed his Form 6. He's now working as a storekeeper for the Uganda Prison Services in Mbale, but there doesn't seem to be much in the store. And then circumstances are happening. The politics of the country is changing. Idi Amin has been overthrown. Karamajong soldiers have retreated down to Moroto and looted it dry.
Yep.
Or this while you were in Moroto, in Bali.
No. I'm saying, no, this was before. So when they retreated back in Moroto, the soldiers went and looted Moroto barracks. And there was a time in the Manyatas you could find a tank or an armored passenger carrier and guns.
In a Manyata, you'd find a tank, or the Manyata would be inside the tank.
No. Because what they did is when they went back, when they basically abandoned the warfield, they went back and basically just looted. And that was the proliferation of guns in Karamoja.
That's how it all started.
That's really it all started. And they had all kinds of serious ammunitions. Then they began to raid cattle. Now, what most people don't realize is Karamoja is one of the most fertile parts of this country. Incredibly fertile. Uganda prisons had one of their largest farms in a place called Namalu.
Namalu, yes.
And if you know, Namalu is halfway point between Mbale and Moroto. Exactly 80 kilometers from Mbale, and from Namalu to Moroto is 80 kilometers. And the largest prison farm was there in
I think it still
Namalu.
is the largest.
It's still there.
Yes.
So when
with those nice volcanic soils,
exactly, they began to raid cattle. Now the guys around Namalu, South Karamoja, are Pians. And the Pians had cattle, so they began to raid. And that insecurity caused a lot of refugees coming from South Karamoja. And they settled in Sironko. So one of the largest first IDP camps in the country was actually in Sironko. Southern Karamojans were running out of the insecurity in Karamoja, coming to Sironko. Even the prisons were looted, and the prisons abandoned the prison farm, and they also left the place. But then the president Zobote, I remember he enters into a peace deal negotiation with the leaders of the Martinicos. I think the guy was called General Oteng, and they strike a peace deal. So peace is kind of restored in the place. So a directive comes and says that, okay, Uganda prisons, go back and reopen Namalu farm. I mean, Bale, a directive comes, Patrick, you go and become a storekeeper in Karamoja. And I say, please God, no, don't take me to Karamoja. And because in my mind, I'm saying, people don't go to Karamoja.
And return alive.
People ran away from Karamoja. I refused. And for 2 weeks, it was a battle of wits between me and my bosses. Until my uncle
He seems to be a very opinionated guy. When you put down your foot on something, you mean business. Huh?
Yeah. My uncle, but then there was not too much. The radio call comes, they didn't have a lot of, no cell phones.
No cell phones, no landline.
Patrick, you don't have a job right now because your job went to Karamoja. So my friend, my say, Patrick, you go. What are you going to lose? You go. You will live for 2 months, you will come back. So reluctantly, we got on a lorry, we drive to Karamoja. And true to form, because my heart was hardened against Karamoja, I hated it. I didn't like it. And my mind every day I was seeing myself dead. Now, hitting a dead end, I don't even know how you get out of Karamoja. I'm thinking that my life is dead. I'm not going to get out of this Karamoja place. There for 9 months, actually, no, 6 months, I'm still a storekeeper now. Because Namalu farm was huge, they had huge warehouses, but it was empty because there were no crops, there was no food and so on.
No cereal, everything had been looted.
But 6 months into it, the OC comes and says, oh, there are certain visitors who have come. There are about 4 trucks, 4 trailerfuls that have come, full of containers. And they introduce themselves. There's this Muzungu that they have come, they have an agreement with the government to resettle the refugees who are in Sronko back on their land. But when they are resettling them, convert them also from being nomads to agriculturists. So it was a big tall order. So this was the first team that had come. And they wanted a place to store their things. So I opened the store. It took us like 2 days to offload. I mean, and those days were things that we call essential goods. Sugar, salt, cooking oil, rice, music clothes. These were things that were not in the country at all.
Yeah.
And there were tons of it. And we just piled those things all over the place. After offloading, they left and went. 2 days later, the OC comes and I'm in that stock. And now at least I have stock. But still I don't like the place and there's no responsibility on my side. He walked in and you could see his face just reaching. I looked at me and said, Patrick, are you an animal or a human being? How can you live in such a mess? I don't know what got to me. I don't know. Because when he left, something just hit me. That your storekeeper and their store looks like a mess. So I gathered some of the boys and for the next 4 days, we rearranged things. We just rearranged the place.
From what it was.
Right. Remember, I'm 19, by the way. At that point, I'm 19. You're a little boy. That's what I think. So I arranged, put the sugars one area, rice and so forth, and do it. I even now get in the sense that, the problem is some of these things maybe get lost and I'm accused. So I had an inventory sheet where if you're going to take one thing, you sign. A week later, that Muzungu came back. The OC brings her and they're impressed. And they go around and I tell the Muzungaran, we've got here, I think we had like 600 bags of rice. But if you take 1 bag, you have to sign for it because I don't want anybody to tell me that I stole their rice. So when she's going, I overheard her saying, that's the smartest African I have ever seen.
Wow.
Simon, that changed my life. From that day on, I made sure that store was clean. I made sure if I needed mopping, I mopped myself. And I was there, I did that, and suddenly, I began liking Karamoja.
Wow.
At 20, I began learning how to drive. I learned how to drive in Karamoja, not in Kampala streets.
In Karamoja?
In Karamoja.
In whose car? The prison van?
No. These guys came. So as they began bringing things, they began bringing a lot of things now. I began now keeping their stuff. They even brought vehicles there. So I would learn, the car drivers, I learned how to drive on a pickup when I was there. Okay. The good thing is at that point, there was not that
no
road.
traffic.
There was no traffic.
Just go on one road.
I could go on road
if
and
you knock a tree,
that's okay. And so I began to think, so I began liking what I'm doing. One day, the director of logistics, his name was Gideon. Gideon comes and said, Patrick, I'm going back to Kampala. However, I have to go through Malaba to clear some trucks through customs. Come, I'm going to clear these trucks, and then you bring the truck back to Karamoja.
Wow.
So I went. And that opened up a chapter. I'm still working in Karamoja, but now once in a while now I'm going to Malaba to bring things. While there, I began to learn how to custom clear, which meant I needed to learn the custom regulations of Uganda. Because there were a lot of expatriates, I began learning immigration because I was now helping them with the immigration paperwork. Now, the reason why that's important is because later on in life, it comes to play. So I began to learn how to do that, and I do it quite well. Now, suddenly,
you became a clearing agent.
Gideon tells me, okay, but why are you working for them? Why don't you work for, come and join us there. The company was called ICA. So I joined ICA from Karamoja as logistics officer. Oh. But I'm still based in where?
Karamoja.
But now my pay is 30,000. I'm moving from 3,000 to 30,000.
You had a 100.
Now I'm perfecting my driving things because there's a point at which now, whenever I need to go to Karamoja, we jump with the driver. I drive while, of course, I don't have my license yet. So that turns my life around. I mean, I'm still in Karamoja. But now my attitude has changed.
Your outlook is different.
I begin to do that. And I don't want to say I mastered. By 21, I knew most of the custom regulations. I knew immigration regulations. So no longer Gideon was coming into Malaba. He would just call Patrick, there's a vehicle coming, go clear. So I would clear. So now one day, now this is where you find it amazing. I am 21. I get a call from the country director. Remember that Muzungu? He says, Patrick, Gideon has resigned. Gideon was director of logistics.
Gideon was Ugandan?
He's a Ugandan. He has resigned. Do you want the job?
Just like that?
I'm in Karamoja.
He said,
oh yeah! So I moved from Karamoja to Kampala as director of logistics of this ICA. Now let me tell you how big it was. I mean, just they had, let me see how many trucks they have. The trailers, they had a fleet of about 12 trailers. They had the small cars, there were maybe 20. The regional office was in Wilson Airport in Nairobi. They had 5 planes.
But you see, that's now professionally.
Yes.
You're growing your career, you're living the life.
Yeah.
Papa, let's not forget, man, you're a young man with hot blood boiling through your nerves. Eh? Yeah. You're beginning to appreciate life's fine things. But has the grounding of the Reverend shielded you from living?
I am so involved in the church. The grounding is minor details. Actually, it took, that's what I'm saying, it was a big blessing. Because during that time, by the time I'm dirologist, what I had access to would have just been an amazing thing. But in retrospect, it really, really was amazing. Because remember, at that point, that's when AIDS was beginning to spread. A lot of my friends, when I came back from the US and I was talking to them, and I was like, where's Charles? Where's died. Most of my contemporaries died during that time. So maybe the Reverend's grounding just kept me in the straight and narrow. So at that point, I'm not really thinking about family life. No, that's not even my life.
You didn't even hit the clubs here.
No, I didn't know what the club. Remember, I came from the Reverend. What do I know about the club?
Marwa, you had
no. That was just no-go area.
Play your next song, Patrick.
The next song is by a lady. I don't know her, but sometimes music, you just appreciate music for what it is. And it was a lady who called it Nava Gray, and the song was Interede.
Interede.
Yes, I listened to that song the first time, and it's just the musical arrangement that was so different from what was
in the market.
Uganda. Yeah, and I said, wow. And the good thing I was with a friend from the US. We were driving when that song played, and we all looked at each other and said, wow, is she Ugandan? Of course, she was singing Uganda now, but the arrangements were really incredible. So the lyrics are really still wonderful. I mean, you say it, but in terms of just the beauty of the music, it was good. So
Ntelede by Nava Gray, as chosen by Patrick Ayota, a man who chooses music selectively and carefully. Not so much for its beat and grind, but largely for the arrangements. Because when he listens to the song, he breaks it up in two pieces. Not like you and I who just listen to the song, wow. He's saying, okay, the air instrument, the percussion, the drums, the piano.
Please don't make it too complicated.
I mean, you're a complicated guy, so we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
We'll be right back into Desert Island Discs.
Desert Island Discs on 91.3 Capital FM.
.3 Capital FM. Desert Island Discs. Patrick Ayota, Deputy Managing Director, NSSF, sharing with us his life story. Young man from Nyem Nyem. Now he's in the big city with the big lights and the big cars and streets. But you are living the life in terms of being frugal with your integrity, being frugal with your conduct, but most importantly, focusing on getting things done.
And I think the two things that you mentioned, I will give an example. And that's sometimes we look back in life and we say, the grind. And doesn't really matter where you're from. Doesn't matter what you're going through. Whatever you find to do, I mean, do it well. I have a friend who came because of the letter from the president. And they came, approached me and said, remember, at one time, I was the only one who knew what was on the seas coming to Mombasa. What was between Mombasa and Malaba. We had warehouses in Tororo. What was in Tororo? What was in Karamoja? I'm the only one who had actually knew that at any one point. And the time the country was going through a hard time, I could do whatever, I could have done whatever I needed to do. But something just held me back. So they came and said, you know what, Patrick, why don't we want to import 4 trailerfuls of tires. We'll give you, I think they offered me $150,000, not $200,000.
At that time?
At that time. And I got, if I was white, I would have said I got red. Let's say I got black.
Oh, you became blue-black.
I was angry.
Livid.
I was livid at them. How dare them think I could betray the trust given to me for personal gain. I don't know whether I have it in me, therefore, I don't know. I don't know where it came from. They were taken back. I mean, by the time I left the US, came back, I never spoke to them. It was just like they had breached to try to dare do that. And
these were your friends?
These were my friends.
So from that moment?
From that moment, we just stopped. I couldn't. I mean, they had crossed the line. It was just...
Are you like that to date? if I make an offer that is very difficult to resist,
I think it's...
Would you never talk to me?
No, maybe not. I mean, I will talk to you, but I've mellowed it that I can be nice about it. I will not take it, but I mean, you get calls from people here and say, no, I don't do that. And they understand you don't, which is true. Anyway, so one of my directors, now I'm 25, says, but what do you want in your life? I said, I want to go to school. He says, yeah, you have to go back to school. He was an American. Says, where do you want to go to school? My mind was Canada. I didn't like the cowboy picture we had. USA, Canada seemed more acceptable. He flies to the US, comes back with 3 application forms. Says, fill them. So I fill them. He sends it. I get admitted in all the 3 schools, but one gives me a full scholarship. And it was a school that was a liberal arts college with a very theology foundation. Liberty University. So I get admitted in April. I put in my resignation in June to leave Uganda in December. So I give them a 6-month notice. And he tells me, okay, hire your replacement, train your replacement so that you can. When you leave somewhere, you can leave. They gave me $10,000 at that company. As a thank, they came a nice ceremony, $10,000 thank for what I had done for the company for the last 3
This was really which year?
This is around 1985.
In 1985, you, Patrick Ayota, held $10,000 in one bundle like this.
Yeah. courtesy of.
Now I'm feeling a bit comfortable. I can leave you my life savings at NSSF. I think you know money. You're not excited by money.
So that. So I go to the US in December. Start my undergrad.
But who did you train? Who did you pick? Did you pick a boy from Nyem?
No.
Or you got a guy
I picked a guy
pure
on his merit, and trained him, and he was. I think he's actually living in Uganda that I picked at that time.
Do you remember the guy's name?
Yes,
Mugwanya. He must be eternally grateful to you for having picked him up.
Eventually, he came to the US.
He joined you as well.
The US later.
So off you went to the.
So I went to the US.
But wait a minute. Of course, you had been on the planes as a logistical manager and all that. So I can't say what was the experience like, but certainly a transatlantic flight.
No, I hadn't been.
It's something that always has its debut moments.
No, it's something. Now, one of the things that was very interesting is we fly, and some of the things that you had been taught were very interesting. When they were teaching you about Empire State Building, those they seemed totally meaningless. So I slept, I woke up in the morning and I looked down.
And you're over New York.
And I recognized the Empire State Building, and my geography suddenly made sense. So you mean the thing exists? It was incredible. It was really incredible.
Then it was the tallest building in the world.
Actually, it's interesting that some of the things we thought were useless actually made sense.
The things they were asking us, what causes traffic jam in New York?
So the school I went to was in Virginia. So I learned, come back, so start school. And even when I was school, there were things. I remember I told you my customs, my immigration work I had done here. What I find out is that at that point, both the Uganda laws, because Uganda was a colony, a protector of the British. And the British were very influential in the Americans. Their laws were based on the English common law. So there was a commonality between even the Ugandan immigration laws and the US immigration laws. So even in my first month, I began plotting my immigration journey in the US based on what I had now learned in Uganda. I knew one thing.
So what had you been admitted to do?
I had been admitted to undergrad. The good thing with the Americans is you don't have to declare a major. You don't have to declare a major until you're actually in your junior year, which is your third year. But me, I knew I had done MEG, so business administration was the big thing. I wanted to do what? Business administration. Later on, I modified and I did a BS in finance. So I got a BS in finance. In fact, what happened is I did a BS in finance. In my third year, I realized that, you know what? I can't compete with Americans. One, I'm an African. I have an accent. Finance is a bit of where they're going to look at you. I needed a technical course. But when I finish, it gives me an edge. So I decided to add on accounting as a course. So I got a minor in accounting, a bachelor in finance. I decided, so because I had studied the American laws, the immigration allowed a student, a student went there and was called an F1 visa. It was you could actually have, it's like an 8-year visa, but so it allowed you to do 4 years of undergrad. You could mess up 1 year, but you could do a total of 8. So I divided my 8, I would do 3 years. Actually, I did my undergrad in 3.5 years. I was carrying a heavy load. I mean, it was work. I got a job to do now. This is another story, which is about work. You know how Ugandans will laugh at those who are doing GAU and so on. I did GAU.
What did you do?
Everything. I cleaned the streets. I cleaned the floors. I cleaned the bathroom. Remember, I got there in December. Yeah, I remember.
So you had become humble now. Remember, there was a time you had finished senior 6 and you couldn't clean a store.
Yes.
Now you're a director of logistics.
But I went there. Remember, I went there with $10,000.
Yes.
I paid half of it my tuition. It was half. But now the money is running out. Summer is coming. You have to survive. And in the Americans, you pay your own rent. You pay for your own food. Now 3 weeks in the high hoarseness, you are going to realize you're hungry. You need to work. And by then, I don't like it. I forgot the other part of it. So one day, I'm cleaning the bathroom. Of course, with all the heart that is just, I don't want it. I don't like it. I hear a toilet flush the next stall. I get out. And who comes out? One of my assistant professors. I said, Dr. Hall, what are you doing here? He says, oh, you know what? It's coming summer. Me and my wife are going vacation. I need extra money for vacation. This is an assistant professor.
Was-
He needs money, extra money for vacation.
And he's cleaning.
He's
it
cleaning the toilet. Me, I need it to survive, and I have an attitude
towards clean.
towards clean. You have a problem. But that changed my idea of clean. I began to clean. Today, I don't, even my house, I can clean my own toilets. I learned I could vacuum a carpet. You know, it wasn't just vacuum.
Yeah,
You vacuum and put a pattern on it. That when somebody walks, took pride after you vacuum.
they will not. The Patrick
And
was here.
no. The guy opens the door and he doesn't want to step on it. It just looks too good. I learned how to mow grass. It's not just mowing grass, but mow it with the style. Design it. That when you are done with it, when you stand on the side,
Yeah, like
you say, yeah, I did some work. And that, I think one of the things that really helped in the US is to really ground this thing about there is honor in work. It doesn't matter what you
kind
do.
of work.
There is honor in work, and put all of it in it. It's not just, don't just shuffle.
Were you in touch with folks at home at that time?
Yeah, but then we didn't have a lot of. I used to come back. No, the first time I came back about 4 years after I'd been there.
And you went to Nyam.
Then I went to Nyam.
They must have been looking at you and saying,
Oh yeah, no, because I didn't even know how to change that much. Because you are there, you are speaking with your fellow Ugandans, you think you are still, then you realize you came back here. The world moved on beyond you. You are still thinking that the people you left behind are the ones you are finding. No, they moved. And I had a very big attitude adjustment. Anyway, but so we go through that. And there are things that even there that showed me that the willingness to take on tasks was amazing. I'm a sophomore. We had a student who died at this university.
oh dear.
And the university incurred the costs of their
Repatriation,
illness,
yeah.
repatriation. So the school decides that no, every person must have insurance. But they want it now. This is like a month into the semester. Say, the students want to march and so on. We had the international student body was right about maybe 300 students. The school body was about 8,000 students. About 300 were international students. Majority of those, 2,000 were Chinese. And the rest of them. So I tell them, guys, no, I'm a sophomore. So no, let's go to the president. So let's find a solution. So I came up with a solution. We got the president. We understand what the school is trying to do, but we don't have the money now. We came. So we don't have money to buy full comprehensive insurance. We've been able to, so we have arranged with an insurance company. If you allow us, we're going to pay this, you'll cover this in case of eventuality. Not enough, but at a minimum we can, then next semester we can go full stream. And the president said, fine. And that kind of, I didn't know what he did, but it kind of made me notice, because at the elections, which came about 2 months after, I'm a sophomore, second year student. And people are very interesting that if they think you're doing a good job, they may discriminate against you, but there's a point at which they'll trust you. And they use kind of, the word of mouth, they use word of mouth. So the one Jew I worked with in Atlanta was so impressed with what I did, he referred me to his fellow Jews in New York. So I would fly to New York. And I began to do that. And it was interesting. But this company that I worked with, they were my first client. It says, okay, you're going to start university. We're going on a retainer. And you'll have, and her thing, she wanted me every month to dial in the books, to dial in their system and confirm that everything is okay. Which was an easy thing. I did that until I came back here. By then I was here. And up until 2013, I told her, everything is running well. Stop giving me money.
So, but all this time, like I'm saying, you are maturing. You're not a boy anymore.
Yes.
You're not thinking of settling down.
No. I settled down. Now, so in 2003.
After you returned?
No. I'm still in the US. That's when I got married to a Kenyan.
That you met?
I have one daughter, so I have one daughter, one wife.
Wow, that's a very interesting one.
Yes.
You will tell us one other time when we were talking about this life story, how you met and how you put that master stroke of romantic genius
that's a story.
As a reverend's protege. But well, let's play your next song.
Thank you. The next song actually is one of our own, Isaiah Katuma.
Yes.
There's a song he played with the Hugh Masekela.
Yes.
It's called The Visit. A very upbeat jazz, very light song you can shake your head to. It's one of those ones the light moment of it makes you enjoy it. It's called The Visit by Isaiah Katuma.
Indeed, what a better fine way to, choose a good song than with the Deputy Managing Director of NSSF, Patrick Ayota, sharing with us his life story of what a life he has lived from Nyem Nyem to Atlanta and New York. Quite an epic move. We'll be right back. It's Desert Island Discs.
Desert Island Discs on 91.3 Capital FM.
.3 Capital FM, Desert Island Discs. Okay. 91.3 Capital FM, Desert Island Discs. Cities and Patrick Ayota sharing with us his life story. If you have missed the earlier part of this conversation, well, worry not, we're on YouTube. You can always just redial and listen to Patrick's story. You will thank me later. So Patrick, you work, you're growing very well, you're enjoying yourself, you are married, you're starting a family, but then you decide to come back to what people may refer to this God for second place. Why?
Okay. Now, one of the things that I've said, I kind of find myself doing certain things that I'm not. So when I was in Atlanta, I also became a very active member of Uganda North American Association. Then this position opens as Chief Financial Officer NSSF under Richard. So I come and join NSF here. We have been for the last 9 years. And just some of the things that we've done, some of the things that we are working on, we talk with our peers, and they don't believe that we're a pension fund. They don't even believe that you're a parastatal, because our approach towards, because of Richard having a banking background, me having a banking background, we have a number of EXCO members come from the private sector. The mindset of work is very different. Very different.
Unlike many government agencies.
No, very different. And we know we're almost around. I'm also head of strategy here. So
you're outliers, as they say.
No, but by the way, if I just tell you that what you're saying is very true. We had for the size of our fund, NSF, there are about 330 pension funds global with our size. So those are our peers. So ISA, which is the International Social Security Agency, does peer benchmarking. A year ago, 2 years ago, they did the one about investments. And they're looking at investments for value, effectiveness, and the third one was just coverage in terms of what we did. When they plotted all the 330, and these firms are in Australia, Europe, the US, whatever it is, when they plotted them together, the average index was 3.3.
What does that mean?
When they did the index, it was an index out of 10. The average index on those values, on those attributes, which is value, effectiveness, and coverage, was 3.3 as far as investment is concerned. There was one lone star at 7.8 by itself.
Alone.
NSF Uganda.
You guys have done tremendously well.
I'll tell you one more. Sometimes we don't even realize. We use the balance scorecard here to help us drive performance and monitor performance. Anybody in this fund today, where there's a drive and so on, knows where we want to be in 2025. We simplify that strategy. We call it 95, 95, 120.
95, 95,
120. That's our strategy. 95% staff satisfaction, 95% customer satisfaction, 1 day processing time for your benefits, 20 trillion shillings. Now, we want to be a fund of 20 trillion shillings by 2025. We want to be able to process your benefit payments in 1 day. We want you to be so awed by us that you give us a score of 95%. To do that, our staff have to be 95% happy. So everything we do is geared around bringing that. It's a 10-year strategy that we picked up, and we've been doing that. In 2015, the board said, no, we were 5.5 trillion shillings then. Said, no, there's no way you can be 20 trillion shillings in 2025. So they got the internal audit department and risk department to come and review our projection. They went back and reported that no, the most we will be in 2025 is 11.3 trillion shillings.
Today
we are 13.3 trillion. We are 5 years
ahead
of the before we get there. If you look at our customer satisfaction, it's now at 89%, coming from 49%. Our satisfaction, by there's a correlation between staff satisfaction and customer satisfaction.
Of course.
Unhappy employees will not serve. It's a given. Our staff satisfaction is at 84%. We are now processing from 33 days, we are now running it at 6 days. So even buy systems to make sure that we can deliver what we need to do. So it's a very simplified thing. So we use balance scorecard for that. The balance scorecard is set up by the Americans. I'll finish with this story. So once a while, they've regionalized the centers. Each center then nominates the entity they think has used that balance scorecard the best. So we nominated in 2017.
You are the best in this.
No. We're nominated. So we're part of 47 other entities: Germans, Russians, South Americans, whatever, Canadians, whatever, Americans, whatever. So shortlisted 10. Uganda was shortlisted in NSSF Uganda. They sent 2 people here who spent a week testing the system. Was it as good as we thought it was? Shortlisted to 3. We're in the 3. We flew to New York for the Gold Award. And guess who got the Gold Award?
I remember.
NSSF Uganda. But to me, the story is not that we got the Gold Award. It was who got second place. The US Army, Pentagon.
Wow. You beat those guys.
So we beat those guys on performance and delivery. This little aptitude in Uganda. So I tell the guys that, let nobody tell Ugandans we cannot deliver. We can. We are, from the top to the bottom, whether the board are Ugandans, we can deliver. At the end of the day, that God is one who will help you get to what you can do. Because you in the hands of God is a potent, dangerous weapon.
I love that. If I were to host you at my house, prepare you, what should be your best meal?
If what?
If I were to host you at my house and prepare you your best dish, what should be on the table?
Kalo? Fish with genus.
You are typically never left Japadola.
No, I never left that. Never left that. Yeah.
And how do you prefer to wash it down?
Well, I can have a glass of wine. But sometimes just cold water is really good.
You got to learn the finer things of life, like wine, which is almost the equivalent of ajon.
Actually, wine.
Have you taken it?
This is what I've said. No, I don't know a lot about wine, so I don't know the sophistication line. My conclusion, and the wine drinkers are going to hate me for this. Wine is like is mwengebigere.
Typically.
It's just that we've packed it in a nice little bottle, and then put their language that nobody understands. Nobody say delicious on the palate, smooth on. You take it with ready meat. What does that mean? I have no idea. What I know is sweet wine is mwengebigere day 1.
Day 1.
Day 2 it becomes that's dry wine.
You're a hilarious man, Patrick. What do you do to relax? You seem to have so many hats that you wear in your head, including motivating young people and participating in self-help, financial things. I'm told you're also a member of the Business Trend CEOs and Business Leaders Idea. How do you manage to juggle all this?
Read quite a bit, but I have enough time and think. The thing is, what is interesting is you read a lot, then you think. The thing what is important is how do you read something concept and break it down to where it makes sense. I think to me the great satisfaction that I've been able to have is to be able to take a concept, and because I run strategy, I can actually put into practice by simplifying it to make sure that it can work. So part of the relaxation is the ability to basically do a lot. I do a lot of delegation. I really am a big believer in having the people who report to me have the capacity to do the work they have to do. So normally we'll discuss, I let them say, okay, when you have a problem, come. And most of them find that sometimes they have a hard time understanding that freedom, but eventually they actually appreciate it. And so I do a lot of delegation. I do a lot of reading. For my sports until lockdown, swimming has been my thing.
Wow.
You remember, I moved away from jogging. Now I can swim.
That's a very interesting one. But look, on this program, there's one question that nobody ever misses to answer. As long as you sit over there, you answer this question.
Yes.
This is a beloved country, blessed in all spaces, including and not limited to Nyamyamyo village.
Yes.
I'm sure in that little village of yours,
you
see all the natural wonders that there can be in any part of the world. There must be undulating hills, streams of rivers, and wonderful birds. But there must be that one place in this country where you would love to be marooned, just to go and have a good time alone by yourself. Where would that be and why?
Uganda is an amazing country. And I say that not just because I'm a Ugandan, but Uganda is very amazing in a lot of things. I wish we have, as Ugandans, know how we can turn everything in the country. I mean, for goodness sake, in Atlanta, there's a rock called Stone Mountain.
Just a rock.
It gets 2 million visitors a year. A rock. Because they packaged it.
Tororo Rock.
Now we have Tororo Rock.
Perhaps even better than
but in terms of I think the place I really found amazing. Karamoja is an amazing place.
the place you didn't love.
No, Karamoja is really, really incredible. It's beautiful. You can when you're in Namalu, you can actually see maybe 40 miles flat.
The other side you see Kepsekunya, whatever they call it in whatever.
Now, if you go to a place like Fort Portal is incredible. If you go to, I've been to Gulu. You look at Gulu. I mean, it is the parts of this country. The country has good spots that are just. And then the other thing, because it's small, you pretty much can. I mean, within 4 hours of Uganda. Okay,
you can be
5 hours. You can be border to border. It's not even in Kampala. It's very, very easy. And I wish what we can do more of, maybe use this COVID period for really, if the president took it and say, okay, let's just build this internal tourism in Uganda. So we don't rely on the external tourism. Let them come and supplement the internal one. So we begin to go visit places, see places, and so on. That actually will actually revive that industry. And because our risk appetite as Ugandans is very different from the European or the American, we're going to run because there's a bullet there. No, we actually go, what bullet was there? Then it continued their lives. So we actually can actually do that. That I think would be great for us.
Very finally, Patrick, where do you see yourself? If finance people always like projections, medium term, long term. Where do you see yourself in the next 5, 10, 20 years?
I think eventually what I would love to do is maybe to teach. Because
you have too much in your head, just be in touch with it.
And then you can kind of help people begin to rethink about certain things. So we have a lot of people who are discouraged. They have people who wish they had this. When it's not about what you should have, what you ought to have. So this is what you have now. Can I make it work? Wow. That I think would be great.
Patrick Ayota, Deputy Managing Director of National Social Security Fund. We couldn't thank you more for taking time off your very busy schedule.
Thank you, sir.
Holding over 13 trillion shillings on your shoulders in savers' money and running an operation like NSSF and also finding time to share your life story.
Thank you.
We don't take that for granted.
Thank you.
For you, our listeners and viewers, we never take your presence on this program for granted because we know it is because of you that we are. But most importantly, I'm glad that you and I get inspiration from these folks that have the time to come and share with us their life stories. We'll meet same time, same place next Sunday. But before that, Patrick needs to play you his last song. I have a feeling it's coming in from Franco.
Actually, not Franco, but the roots. I've always loved Lingala. So there's a song by Zaiko Langa Langa, Dede Sumesuru. Is that measure? Something like
something like that. Yeah. It has a good guitar.
Good guitar. Really nice melody. When you listen to that song, it's that song you dance to, but also you can just listen to.
That's the best way to close a program such as this one. Let's get groovy with this wonderful Zaiko Langalanga tune as chosen by Patrick Ayota. I'm sure he's going to go dancing. Do you have 2 left feet or 1 left foot and 1 right foot?
I think dancing, I'm average.
I will be right back. Stay with us.
Thank you.
Desert Island Discs on 91.3 Capital FM. Desert Island Discs on 91.3 Capital FM.